Hello again, I'm Mr. Hutchings, and this is Mr. Hutchings History. Today's topic is 5.6 of the AP World History program, Industrialization and Government's Role, from 1750 to 1900. Our AP themes will be governance, economic systems, and technology and innovation. Our historical reasoning skills will be causation, comparison, and continuity and change over time. Industrialization did not advance on technology alone. Machines needed roads, factories needed capital, armies needed weapons, and states needed power. By the 19th century, governments around the world faced the same question. Should the state actively guide industrialization or allow markets and foreign powers to decide the outcome? Different answers produced very different results. As industrial technology spread, it encountered very different political systems. Some governments embraced reform, other governments resisted it. Still, other governments were too weak to direct industrialization at all. This helps explain why industrialization strengthened certain states while leaving other states vulnerable to imperial pressure. The theme of governments is central here. Industrialization was not only an economic process, it was a political one. The Ottoman Empire entered the 19th century weakened by overexpansion, weakened by corruption, and weakened by internal division. Despite its proximity to Europe, the Ottoman Empire had not fully adopted Enlightenment ideas nor Western industrial technology. Ethnic nationalism spread among its diverse peoples, further destabilizing the Ottoman Empire. European powers increasingly referred to the Ottomans as the sick man of Europe, seeing opportunity in the decline of the Ottoman Empire. Although some reforms were attempted, the central government of the Ottomans lacked the authority and resources to guide industrialization effectively. By the early 20th century, the Ottoman Empire collapsed, replaced by smaller nation states after World War I. Industrial weakness translated directly into political vulnerability. Why does weak central authority make industrial reform difficult? Because industrialization requires coordination, taxation, infrastructure, and enforcement. Weak states struggle to mobilize resources or resist foreign pressure. One exception within the Ottoman world was Egypt. In the early 19th century, Muhammad Ali, an Ottoman officer of Albanian origin, rose to power as governor of Egypt. Though technically under Ottoman rule, Muhammad Ali governed with significant independence. Ali pursued an ambitious program of state sponsored industrialization. He organized the military along European lines, established schools, sent students to France, and Ali launched the first official newspaper in the Islamic world. Economically, Ali centralized control over agriculture by taxing peasants heavily and taking agricultural land into state ownership. This allowed the government to dominate cotton production and profit from grain exports during the Napoleonic Wars when European demand for grain was high. Ali also built textile factories, armaments workshops in Cairo, and shipyards in Alexandria. His goal was clear: military strength through industrial capacity. Historians often describe Muhammad Ali as the first modern ruler of Egypt because he recognized that industrialization was a tool of state power, not merely economic growth. How did Muhammad Ali's reforms link industry to military strength? By controlling the production of weapons, ships, and uniforms, The Egyptian state reduced dependence on foreign suppliers and strengthened its army. China presents a contrasting case. In the 19th century, China suffered major humiliations at the hands of European powers, most notably during the Opium Wars and the division of China into spheres of influence. Foreign domination weakened the Qing's government's authority and drained resources. Without a strong central state, China could not promote industrialization effectively. Although China had long traditions of manufacturing and innovation, foreign pressure and internal instability prevented coordinated reform. Industrialization lagged for decades, leaving China economically dependent and politically vulnerable. This illustrates a crucial historical point. Technology alone cannot industrialize a society without political capacity. Japan's response could not have been more different. After centuries of limited contact with the outside world, Japan was forcibly opened to Western trade in the 1850s when U.S. warships under Commodore Matthew Perry entered Tokyo Bay. Japanese leaders studied China's recent humiliation and drew a clear conclusion: resistance without reform would fail. In 1868, reformers overthrew the shogunate and restored power to the emperor in what became known as the Meiji Restoration. The new government actively studied Western systems and selectively adopted what it found useful. It abolished feudalism, established a constitutional monarchy modeled on Prussia, reorganized the military, expanded education, built railroads, and subsidized key industries such as silk, shipbuilding, and weaponry. All of this was funded through heavy agricultural taxation. Though burdensome, these taxes financed rapid industrial growth and strengthened the Japanese state. Japan industrialized not because it copied the West blindly, but because the state deliberately guided modernization. Why was government leadership so important in Japan's industrial success? Because the state coordinated reform, protected sovereignty, and invested strategically, preventing foreign control over economic development. Once Japan's industries became profitable, the government sold many enterprises to private investors. Powerful family run conglomerates known as zaibatsu emerged. These organizations resembled American trusts and European industrial firms. They combined private capital with state support and accelerated innovation. A notable example is Toyota Loan Works, founded in 1906. Originally a textile machinery company, it later evolved into Toyota Motor Corporation. This demonstrates continuity and change. Government leadership initiated industrialization, but private enterprise later expanded it. By the end of the 19th century, clear patterns had emerged. Weak or divided governments like China and the Ottoman Empire struggled to industrialize and lost autonomy. Strong reform oriented states like Japan used industrialization to preserve independence. Semi independent reformers like Muhammad Ali achieved partial success but remained vulnerable to external pressure. Industrialization amplified existing political strength or exposed existing political weaknesses. Topic 5.6 reinforces a key historical insight. Industrialization is not automatic, it is shaped by government choices. This topic strengthens causation, how state policy influences economic outcomes. Comparison, different paths to modernization. continuity and change, shifting roles of government and private enterprise. This unit also prepares students to understand later imperialism, resistance movements, and 20th century development strategies. By 1900, it was clear that industrial power shaped global hierarchy. States that guided reform survived. States that failed to adapt fell under foreign influence. Industrialization did not erase tradition, but it redefined survival. When facing external pressure, is reform always a choice or sometimes a necessity? History suggests that in an unequal world system, reform often becomes a requirement for political independence. I'm Mr. Hutchings, and thank you for listening to Mr. Hutchings History. And as always, stay curious and continue to study history because it matters.